So this story is about a man who ended another man's life over something as small and ridiculous as chicken wings. The man at the center of this case, his name is Davius. He was 29 years old at the start of this story and he was living in Detroit, Michigan. And right from the start, it was very clear that Davius had serious anger problems. Not the normal kind where someone just raised their voice. This was the kind of anger where a small disagreement could quickly turn violent, the kind where he would pull out a gun just to make a point. In fact, before this incident even happened, Davius already had a violent past. At some point before, during another angry outburst, he had shot the mother of his child multiple times. She survived, but he was arrested for that shooting and later released on bail. One of the conditions of that bail was that he had to wear an angle monitor, meaning police could track his location at all times. Then one night in 2022, everything completely fell apart. That night, Davius went to a friend's house in Detroit. The friend was hosting a small barbecue. Some people were over, food was on the grill, and it was supposed to be a normal, relaxed evening. Davius arrived and started hanging around with the other guests. Everyone was eating, talking, and enjoying chicken wings that had been prepared at the barbecue. At some point during the night, Davius began interacting with another guest named Ronnie. From what is known, Ronnie was just another person at the gathering. He was there to enjoy the food and the company, nothing more. As the night went on, Davius and Ronnie started talking, and the conversation somehow turned to barbecue chicken wings. Although exactly what was said is not clear, there are no details reports explaining how the argument started. It could have been about who took the last wings, how the wings were prepared, or even a comment about flat versus drumstick. Whatever the case, something Ronnie said struck a nerve. Davius began angry, extremely angry. Instead of walking away or cooling off, he let his temper take control. The argument escalated quickly, becoming more heated with every exchange. People around them could properly sense that the situation was getting tense, but no one expected what would happen next. Suddenly, right there in the middle of the driveway, in front of everyone at the barbecue, Davius pulled out a handgun without hesitation. He fired two shots at Ronnie. Ronnie was struck and collapsed. He died right there at the scene. The party instantly turned into chaos. People screamed, panicked, and ran for their lives as the sound of gunfire echoed through the neighborhood. What was supposed to be a peaceful gathering ended in tragedy. Davius did not stay at the scene. Knowing what he had done, he jumped into his car and fled. Don't forget, he was wearing an angle monitor. He could not disappear completely, but that did not stop him from trying. After leaving the scene, he drove to his girlfriend's house. There, he hid the gun he had used in the shooting. His thinking was simple. If he was going to be caught, he did not want to be caught with a murder weapon on him. Meanwhile, police and paramedics arrived at the barbecue. Officers secured the area, questioned witnesses, and quickly identified Davius as the shooter. Given his criminal history and the angle monitor he was wearing, tracking him was not difficult. So, about a day later, police located Davius using the angle monitor data. Officers moved in to arrest him. At that time, he was staying at someone else's house. The report do not clearly state whose house it was. As officers approached, Davius attempted to flee again. He got into his car and drove off just as police tried to stop him. What follows was a dangerous high-speed chase through residential street. He drove recklessly, speeding through neighborhood, ignoring traffic signs and putting innocent life at risk. Eventually, Davius drove to what is believed to be a family member's home. So he abandoned the car and ran inside. Police followed closely and surrounded the house. Inside the house were several people, including a 2-year-old girl who was reportedly his niece. At that point, Davius made another terrible decision. He grabbed the toilet and ran upstairs, barricading himself in a room with her. The situation immediately turned into a hostage standoff. Police brought in additional officers and equipment and begin negotiating with him, urging him to release the child and surrender peacefully. So, for hours later, Davius still refused. Family members and negotiators tried to reason with him, begging him to come out and let the child go. At one point, Davius made a demand. He shouted that he would release the 2-year-old girl if police brought him a pack of cigarettes. For reasons not fully explained, Police did not agree to the demand. The standoff continued for roughly 5 hours. Eventually, Davius realized he had no way out. He could not escape and he could not fight his way through the police. Finally, he decided to surrender, but even then, he did it in the most reckless way possible. So Davius exited the house, holding the toilet directly in front of his body, using her as a human shield to prevent police from shooting him. Officers carefully approached and managed to safely take the child from him without injury. Footage later showed an officer carrying the child away to safety. Once the child was secure, Davius was arrested. Later, police searched his girlfriend's house and recovered the firearm used in the shooting. As of the latest update, the case had not yet gone to trial and the charge remained allegation until proven in court. And don't forget to subscribe.